Hello, guys. How we doing tonight? Small crowd. First PA review of the week. To be expected, I guess. All right. Can you guys hear me? Can you see me? Is everything fine? Awesome. All right. Well, we won't waste time. We'll get right into it. Awesome. All right. Trading. We just took out previous week low, right? Pretty aggressively bearish here, but we formed that swing and it was confirmed today. So from that point on, you could look for longs to new week opening gap, right? We discussed this during the weekly outlook. It's a little hard to manage the formation of higher time frame swings, but for me, it's very easy. I look for characteristics of a trending day to confirm that swing. Now, are we going to break that tomorrow? We could, but it is now officially a swing point, right? A 3-bar swing is what I consider to be swing points. So we traded back into the new open gap. Of course, we just gapped like crazy today. But disregarding the daily open of today, we just filled our new week opening gap, right? Highest probability to fill it entirely today. So definitely some very nice frameworks to go higher, which we'll visit right away. So let's go and replay here so that we can see the day of today. What do I mean by trending days, right? Because, for example, for me, I was bearish. Why? Because I was looking for previous day low to be swept for us to form a swing, right? We discussed this during the weekly outlook of taking out previous day low and then looking for higher. So when is it on a day like this where we just keep running higher that I decide that my shorts are no longer good and that I can now look for longs? Well, I need a few things, right? More importantly, I need a low that I can trust. Let me just mute this very quickly. All right, what is a low that I can trust? Well, very simply put, it's a low with SMT. So as long as I have a low with SMT at a key time, I can look for a high probability trade. And more importantly, on a day like today, I can anticipate a trending day. So when we have a very clean open low like this at the extremity of a range, right? We just took out previous week low. We reached some objectives based on the previous week of that as well. So right now, we are in what we call deep discount, right? For the simplest of ways, you can always look as premium and discount as previous week high, previous week low, right? But when we're very trending, very bearish, we're just going to keep expanding. On a day like today, though, we had a very nice opportunity to go higher after taking out that previous week low on the previous day. And with a clean open low like this, started expanding, forming SMT. This is everything that tells me I can look for longs. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I took a short and I took a loss today, but then I took the long. Would you consider to around manipulation having hard time to see daily power of 3 sometime? Yes, yes. That's the thing, right? We don't have an amount of time for the manipulation. So yes, sometimes here on a 15-minute chart, I see 30 minutes, which formed the low of day. And that's what qualifies a trending day, right? We formed a low very early in the day. We're talking about a bullish day right now, of course. So we formed a low very early and then expand in the same direction the full day. Of course, we had a PM retracement opportunity, which led to some great shorts. We'll talk about those as well. But as I said, for me framing this, to be able to trust this, right? Because when we open, I don't see a clear manipulation to the upside because I need an energetic move. For example, if we formed this high and then 9:30 came and we were here, my bias would be entirely different. This has no characteristics of a trending day. But when Asia forms a clean low, then we have SMT early on, near midnight in this case, does not matter when, and London goes in the same direction as Asia. What is that? This is a trend, right? This is a trend with the low I can trust that we should not revisit if we're talking purely probabilities. So when we open at 9:30 and we're up here, it's much higher probability to look for higher, especially when we have a clear drawn liquidity like this new week opening gap and previous day high. London high SMT, yes, as well. We'll showcase this. Was it right here? I believe it was right here, right? Yeah, we were looking at this pretty much. So there was SMT here. But this is where narrative comes in for me. But I agree, it is a hard one, right? It is a hard one because you see this high and you're like, okay, well, that's some clear SMT. We could now go lower. Yes, SMTs on both sides. So what do you wait for? You wait for a real breakout. Basically came at 9:30. For myself, there was news at 10 a.m. So I was more interested in waiting at 10 a.m. slightly, but we had a clean 9:30 with SMT pretty much. So I mean, yes, 100% I could agree with you. I mean, I agree with you entirely because I took a short previously and lost on that one, right? I took a loss before getting that long. That worked out great. So I mean, in a case like this, I can agree with you 100%. Truth is, it's pretty unclear. I like to give you guys insight on trending days and things like this, but it's still something I'm studying very much, right? Most days you're going to see very clean power of three, right? I mean, we just look at Monday, right? You open, you have a clear manipulation higher, and then you just started trending lower. So you can follow that trend, and that is higher probability than looking for a reversal. So just overall, you're better off just looking to follow the trend and later catch the reversal. But once we go here in the 1 minute chart and we head for that 9:30, let me just remove previous weekly high so our chart can work great. So that we can be zoomed in a little more. If we look at 9:30 here, what happened, right? Because that's of importance to us. That's why I start trading. So depending, well, even if my bias is bearish here, what do I need? Well, I needed Judah swing higher confirmed with SMT. Did that come? Did that occur? No, it did not. What we actually had was a Judah swing lower right at the open, followed with SMT. By the way, that is the only reason why you could have looked to trade before 10 a.m. here, because we had a news. It's just a very impactful news overall sometimes. It's very inconsistent, but as I've told you guys, I want to abuse of this these newly volatile markets. I want to take advantage of it. So I'm trading a lot more. I need news, but I don't necessarily need high impact news, right? I've told you guys I'm going to be trading every day now for the rest of the week. No, actually Friday we have news as well. So Friday included this week. But really what you should be looking for is that open. We have a clear Judah swing lower, later confirmed even more with SMT. I mean, even at that point, I believe we had SMT, right? Yeah, because was this higher? But it was higher than this. So you even had SMT right on that first 9:30 leg right here. So very, very clearly a Judah swing lower, basically. So that's what should have filtered your shorts and mine as well, Alex. I mean, I'm not a perfect trader. I've told you guys many times before, make a ton of mistakes, but definitely looking at this breaker for longs would have been best. I personally shorted very early. Honestly, don't even want to tell you guys because truth is it wasn't even a unicorn really. I mean, I saw this breaker block form and just disregarded the first SMT entirely and took a short high here in premium, got broken even about this mark. It was a greedy, it's my first trading day of the week. I'm excited to get back to trading. Was there an entry for this breaker? I mean, yes, definitely, right? If you disregard the SMT, this inversion fair value gap is an entry, right? Right here. So we formed a breaker on this leg, right? Closing below, sorry. And then the next candle trades back into it. So there is an entry. How about using the stats to see London high raid? Yeah, I mean, where's my London? There we go. In this case, the stats for London high will give you a great probability overall. I mean, 100%. But you know, that's not something I can really share. 33. 33 or Oz? What should I call you, brother? I mean, I'm so confused now saying it out loud. But yes, definitely. But I mean, it is very high probability as well to return to London low with the midnight open. It's about understanding when those probabilities don't occur, right? Oz is fine. Awesome. And see, in a day like today, it's not a day where I would refer to session liquidity too much because I have a clear draw on liquidity. Price seems to be trending towards the new week opening gap. Previous day high is there as well. So if you want to talk statistics, I would use previous day high on something like this. And of course, I'll even bring the quarters in here for our new week opening gap. We could look at deviations. Like, I'll bring this guy in. Let's look at 2 to 2.5 here. I've been testing some stuff out, and I want to see the deviations of the gap. So why are they appearing higher and not lower? Oh, because we already reached them. So see, we already reached extensions of the new week opening gap. What about if we look at 4? This is just some testing I've been doing with deviations of it. I mean, we reached it, but to be fair, you don't really need to use something like this because you had previous week low there. So basically, the context tells you your high probability trades will be higher. That's really how simple we can put it. So no matter how you came to that conclusion, very great. It does not. It does not. The indicators are purely visual. So the only goal of the indicator is to help users from Rise Statistics visualize the data they use. So for example, if you pull the data for the new week opening gap, well, it would be nice to actually be able to see it on your charts, right? And that's where all of the Rise Statistics indicators come in. I mean, we're even missing one in this case here. So we're starting with 6, but every new analysis will have a new indicator to help users visualize the statistical frameworks they use. Fair enough? Hope that makes sense. But yes, basically all the data you see in the app will stay in the app and remain there, because I believe there's no better way to basically play around with that data, right? You won't be able to filter it as good in an indicator. You don't have access to the same data points. I like to use a lot of look back, right? I like to refer to data in the past 20 years. I can't do that on my TradingView charts yet. Maybe someday they will, and in that case, 100%. But for now, no. And I mean, just to go back over this trade, we'd be looking at a short here. It's just an unsuccessful trade. Is it a good trade? I don't believe so. Very much not, right? You're trading against SMT, and there is SMT at London High right here. So you could justify that. For me, this is a mistake. This is a trade I should not have taken. It was really more so of a FOMO trade of we just had a long weekend. I have not traded for like 5 days, and I was eager to get back in the charts. But it is a setup. So in cases like these, it's important to highlight it. So thanks, Alex. Oh, well, actually, you were looking for a long on this breaker. Well, let's go look at it too. So if we remove this and we look at this breaker, right, that I've drawn standard deviations, to me this morning, I didn't see an entry. I mean, you could have zoomed out and used like an inversion fair value gap from a long time ago. Once we start reaching London, and I mean, even then, this is too far down. I mean, perhaps, I don't know, because we formed a breaker when we traded above this. So no, I mean, there was no entry unless you look perhaps very far back, but this is not something I do. I like to refer to recent price action, right, in the last few hours to a maximum. So no, even though this breaker basically formed, right, and clearly expanded from it, there was no available entry for me. The only time I get an actual entry is on the next breaker. Now we'll look at it. It is a continuation entry, right? So they are always valuable to look at, but at that point you need to look at more parameters. Like, is it still worthwhile, right? Do I still have enough upside in this move, right? Because if my target is going to be right here, then I'm not going to take an entry here. I already missed the move. But in this case, I believe it was still actually very valuable because as you can see here, we induced those highs. And we'll look at the entry just because this is the only available entry. Unless I'm missing something, please tell me, guys. You know, it does happen sometimes. But this does seem to be the only available entry. Where, for example, if we look higher, even here we don't have a fair value gap. And this fair value gap is way too far away from this breaker for me to call this a unicorn. At this point in time, what was going on in my head is I missed the trade. And you know what? I was fine with it. But once we return to that 10 a.m. open, which is this blue line that we see right here, and we traded below it into my unicorn, that's a clear sign of entry for me. Using the 3PD array stop loss rule, right? You have fair value gap, and another tiny little fair value gap right here. So stop at the low of the fair value gap candle. Does it offer enough risk to reward? Well, yes. Just to the start of the new week opening gap, you have your minimum of 1.7 here. You have 1.72 R. But truth is here, guys, I at least look for the midpoint, especially when we're trading like this. But could you look to take a partial here and then take a partial at each quarter? I mean, look how beautiful. Yes, 100%. And no matter, it never revisited your entry. If you had a little bit of a late entry, then you would have been a little scared here. But as you can see, it did not reach the new week opening gap before then, so you would not have gone and stopped out. And of course, after all of this, after previous day high as well, let me just bring back the actual entry. After previous day high as well, you could look to stay in this trade. To be fair with you guys, reaching the midpoint of the cap, 4 standard deviations of the initial breaker, along with previous day high, I mean, that's just a sign for me to get out of this trade. I personally did not hold runners. I took profits at the first quarter, second quarter, previous day high. I was more than happy to close my trade entirely. I made 2.1 R realized on this trade. So I always mark it in, had a little bit of a worst entry, and with the take profits taking into consideration, still a very good trade. Very good trade. I mean, even if you took the short beforehand, right? I'd like to consider this sometime. But I mean, here there was a possible short, but we did not reach that objective yet. We actually induced it, right? Just like liquidity, we traded into it. Well, we traded to it, but not into it. So that for me, especially for a new week opening gap, which is a gap of liquidity that I need to be filled, I can't justify taking a short here. So if you were looking, well, actually the long came before the short. So I'm always thinking, by the way, guys, when I talk like this, right? When I have these conversations to myself, I'm always thinking from 100% mechanical logic, taking every single setup, what would have happened? Well, you would have taken a loss short, but then you would not have taken a loss short here because you didn't have an entry until we traded back into it here, and you would have taken the long. So even purely mechanically here, you have one loss, one win, end the day. We're going to look at the PM session as well. I want to spend more time with you guys on it, but definitely, even purely mechanically, a successful day. Now I'm looking here. I don't trade after 11:30, so of course I'm going to skip any sorts of possible opportunities here, which, to be honest with you guys, I don't see any. But where I'm going to be interested in starting to trade again is at 1:30. And what kind of frameworks am I going to be trading at 1:30? Well, let's bring our lunch session here, because this is what I trade. And see, you have lunch low and lunch high, and right at that 129 mark, 130 mark, closed it pretty much. So this is excluded, by the way. If you guys want to see the 130 candle included, then you can just do something like this, and now you'll see the low is here, still the same rate. It does not matter, and you can look for longs from this point on. I personally like for it to end, like my other session starts at 1:30, right? So I don't want the trading from the 1:30 candle to be included into it, right? Because just in case you didn't know, TradingView, this 1:30 candle means it opened at 1:30. And then what do you need? Well, you have your framework to go long. It's a continuation of the AM session, 100%. You're going to be targeting lunch high here. So what are you going to trade there? Well, same thing as always, right? I need my unicorn. Now I'm looking for a breaker block to form right after we have our framework here. I don't see one until right here, if I'm not mistaken. And just to give the cleaner one of the two, I'm going to use this one, because this one is a little hard to spot, right? I did want to mention it. This is the first, but this one is a little easier to see. It's a lot more pretty, to be fair. I'm also going to bring, well, I mean, using standard deviations of such a small range is not very useful. As you can see, they aligned almost with our higher standard deviations. Do we have SMT at that low, actually? Let's look at it. On this low, is it? Are those equal? They are equal. Wow, I missed that SMT. As you guys know, when I see equal on ES, I can treat as if it had reached it. It's funny to me how it always does this. So you know that my rules, my strategies are all based on data. because they are so successful, and using equal as taken on ES has just been a lot more, a lot higher probability. So from this point, this is actually your first breaker block. Did it give you an entry? I believe so. Yeah, we closed above here, right? I didn't trade this, by the way, guys. You know me, right? I have a win. Why would I keep going, especially if I started the day with a loss? But yes, here you closed above it, making it an inversion fair value gap. Next candle over is your entry. 3 PD array stop loss rule. You have inversion fair value gap, and fair value gap once again, giving you a 41 handle stop, right? Volatility has definitely died down here. And just to this high, I mean 2 to 2.5 standard deviations, you have a huge wick right here. That's a very clear partial for me. There's nothing else before then. But let's go at it mechanically once again. Premium and discount of the range you're looking to reverse. We're going to go here. We're going to use our first premium and efficiency. Oh, and look, it's actually the swing high we were just looking at. I love this shit. I love looking at it and knowing my model so well that I know that is your take profit level, even without focusing on it. I'm just like, this is your take profit. Oh, and it aligns beautifully with the mechanical logic we have. I really don't think anything can compare to it. Once I start advertising it a little bit more, I believe people will notice that. I use the equal on the SSMT, works so well. Yes, Faraz. Well said. Well said. I mean, no one talks about stuff like that because they just listen. They don't test. That's the truth. And I'm not saying everyone. I'm talking about the majority of people. Like, who has this data on SMT? No one. No one has that. Well, at least no one that I believe so. And perhaps some of them do, but they done it mechanically. What I mean by that is, well, manually is the better word for it. For me, it's all tested automatically with rules that I can't change, right? I can't say, oh, I would have known about this. No. So just knowing things like these, that when ES has equal levels, I treat it as if it has taken that level, purely in regards to SMT, of course, right? We're not talking about liquidity here. Well, it makes life so easy. But honestly, without that SMT, you didn't have that entry, but you still had an entry. I believe I posted it today. No, I posted the morning long. But see right here, you still do have an entry on the breaker block we were looking at, overlapping fair value gap here. So you would still had a great entry, I believe. Well, let's actually look. So your entry would be here. Stop loss, you have fair value gap, and then fair value gap, and the inversion fair value gap here. So inversion fair value gap is the latest. To that partial, does not offer enough risk to reward. To that third quarter, though, that's 2R right there. So see, it's stuff like that. Like, I use these quarters always, but if that wasn't your target, well, I mean, you shouldn't be up to R and not having taken profit. It's a hard one, definitely, because you know the rules. If you reach the partial and you can't take profit because it doesn't offer enough, you go break even. So worst case scenario, this is a break even trade, and if you manage to take profit along the way, it's a successful trade. So see, really, this would have been the best. Do you use Stats Plus Pro for levels confluence? Do you mean the stat map indicator by Joshua, right? The open, high, low, close stat map. They might have changed the name. No, I don't. It uses different averages that I like to use. I do use some averages. I was actually thinking of adding those to a custom indicator, pretty much, because that's the thing. I don't have enough data on TradingView to have the averages I use because I like to do a lot of filtering. It's a great tool. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's decent. I think it's a great tool, very well made by Joshua there. And I think it's a very useful tool. A lot of people use it as Confluence. But you know my logic. I want simpler. I don't want to add more things. And I don't need to. Because this simplistic approach pays me a shit ton every single month. It has been working for the last 20 years. Why? Because it is based on real logic. It is based on expansion theory, on a repeatable pattern that you can consistently trade, on a mechanical stop loss that you can't get it wrong. It's a mechanical stop. I believe that in the last probably 5 or 6 months, it hasn't worked, what, 2 times? That you would have gone and stopped out and then it reached for your target without giving you another entry? I remember recently it happened. Have you considered getting stats for the first half hour opening range? Yes, and those deviations of that opening range, initial balance, all of that. Yes. I did want to push out these indicators. You might have seen from the announcement that WAP did cause me some trouble discontinuing their TradingView support. So now it all has to be manually done while I am actually coding an automatic way of handling it. But I really did not want to have to deal with that. So I delayed that. But now the next analysis coming to Rise Statistics is actually opening ranges. And for that opening ranges, you're going to have from 30 seconds probably to the hour and a half after. Well, actually, I don't think I'm going to go past an hour. I think an hour is great. And yes, Ozzy, it does include the deviations and the reversal probabilities and all that stuff. So no worries. A lot of cool data coming. We've been quiet on Rise Statistics for a little bit now, just changing and updating a few things here and there. But now with the release of the indicators, we can focus once again on bringing more content to you guys. Just to finish up with this trade, right? Of course, after this partial would have been a stop loss if you were looking to return to there. More importantly, looking for lunch high. Still a very nice trade. Truth is, morning trade was the best of the day, in my opinion. Unless you trade during lunch, which you would have had some shorting opportunities, of course. How do I try the indicators? Perez, you really need to read the announcement, all right? You really do. You open a ticket and you claim all of them because they have now been released and you are a Rise Statistics user, so you do have access to them. Fair enough, honestly. Fair enough. My pleasure. Just open a ticket, drop me your TradingView username, and they will be paired with the expiration date of your renewal, pretty much. Sounds good? All right. Do you guys have any questions before we call it a day here? I mean, not prepared. Short peer reviews like this are 30 minutes. I'm going to try and cut those down to like 15, 20 minutes, and the big ones will be 25, 30 minutes. I forgot to prepare in advance today. All right, all clear. All awesome. As always, guys, you know, it's there's been a mess with my WAP account. Yeah, just send me the info, send me what you see. Oz, all right? Send me what you see when you open the app and I'll help you out for sure. You guys have a great night. All right, we'll talk again tomorrow. Price action reviews every single day this week. Appreciate you all being here. Have a great night, guys.